Okay, let's come on back and take a look at our Jam board. Now, I remember Jeff Casimir, the director of the Turning School of Software Design, showing me a 1-hour video on how Git and GitHub works, and I left not knowing anything. It was very confusing to me. So one important thing when we go over this is separating the difference between Git and GitHub is going to be really important. They are not the same thing. Well, they do some similar stuff. We'll talk about that. All right, Git. Git is local yo. Absolutely correct. Yes. Git is local. What does that mean? The Git repository gets created locally on your machine. Now, when people say your machine, they just mean on your laptop, right? Git is local to your laptop only. Like this says, Git is local. Git is a version control system that tracks and manages changes to software code. That's correct. It's a version control system. So that means you can have different versions of your code. And with a version control system, that means you can go back to any point in that code if you want to. You can go backwards, right? So I think somebody asked, oh, that's on the next page. But yes, you can go to any commit you want, and that could be the updated version of your code. GitHub is for collaboration, and Git is local and for version control. That's a really important distinction, right? Yes, Git is used for teams to collaborate on projects, but if we did not have GitHub as well, we wouldn't be able to do that. GitHub is the tool that allows us to collaborate, right? Git is just a version control system for our code. It gets me a headache, funny. Can hackers spy on your Git? Only if they have, well, if you have a public repository, they could see some of your code on GitHub, or if they had a SSH key to your computer, they could see stuff there. Let's see. All right, we'll answer this next question on the second page. Any questions about what Git is? It's local and it's a version control system. What's a version control system? It helps you manage a history of your code, basically. A history of your code. All right, what is GitHub? GitHub is in the cloud, that's correct. What does the cloud mean? It's a tool that exists on the internet, right? And GitHub is the thing that allows us to collaborate on projects. GitHub is the tool that allows us to collaborate on projects. Without GitHub, we could not collaborate in the way we'd want. This is a good distinction too. GitHub kindly hosts Git repositories not locally, making a safe place to save work and also share and collaborate. So if someone had a question, are there competitors to GitHub? Absolutely. There's a company called GitLab that's very popular as well that I've used on many teams. I'm sure there's a few others, but there's lots of these remote / cloud-based collaborative Git tools that allow teams to collaborate on a project. I said collaborate twice. How can you restore a previous version of your work? This is something I will show you in Git when we do a review of it. Explore that. How does branching work? We will also discuss that in this lesson. Okay, and then feelings. It was like American Psycho or something with like a Hello Kitty. It's very confusing. This is funny. Cool. Sorry, I want to go back to GitHub. Are there any questions about what GitHub is? It's a collaborative tool. It hosts our repositories on the internet or the cloud. Questions? I'm gonna wait 20 seconds for questions. Okay, that was not 20 seconds, but I couldn't wait that long. So awkward. All right. Let's do a little bit of a review of Git, and then I will show you some other neat tools about how Git works. Okay. Let's say we are making a new project. We'll call it binary search tree. Since it's top of mind. We'll CD into that project. Okay. How do I initialize a Git repository on my machine? What command would I use? Let's do a chat-based answer group. In the chat, even though we don't use it a lot, Zoom chat. What do we do to initialize a Git repository? That's correct. Be git init. Git init is correct. Awesome. And then we can see if that exists there by seeing this hidden file. You know what's a hidden file because there's a dot before it. So it's .git, cool. So we successfully initialize a Git repository locally on our machine. And then I'm going to create a file called heyo.rb because heyo will add them open up. Yes, it will. We're going to put heyo classy class, because that makes a lot of sense. And then we're going to save it. Now, without using the word here, how do I check the progress of Git? Or how do I see what state Git is in right now? Git status is correct. So Git status will show you some things. It'll show you the branch name. We are going to want to change this to main, which I don't know how to do off the top of my head, but is important just for inclusivity and diversity. So that's very important, but I don't know the command off the top of my head. And then I'll show you the untracked files. And then so how do I add that file to be tracked? Or how do I put it in the staging area? Git add and the file name. We're going to ask you to always use the file name and not add all the files. Does anyone know why I say that? Why do we ask you to add the singular file name and not all the files? Go ahead, raise your hand if you have if you know. You could be adding hidden files possibly, although those don't get added because of the git ignore, which I'll talk about in a second. Anyone know why we don't want to add all your files? Austin, go ahead.
Because maybe you'd want to chunk your commits up.
Yeah, maybe you want to do some sort of chunk add, which is a intermediate Git adding tool. Another reason is, let's say you change 21 files by accident, and then you added them all. Well, unstaging all those files is going to be a real pain in the butt. You don't want to do that. Yes, Khan also gives us more purposeful committing, right? What is the file we want to change exactly? Yeah, commits should be individual, right? They should be small things that we change. Okay. So we've added that. We are going to run git status again just to make sure it is in the staging area. And then we see changes to be committed, new file. If you ever want to know how to unstage, it's right here. The only time that someone said, I have a quick question they wanted to unstage, and it was actually a quick question. Okay, then how do we add that to our version control system using a let command? Git commit, and what do we want our initial commit message to be? Yeah, maybe something like initial commit made hey yo, made hey yo. Cool, we've seen that. Now, how do we check to see our Git history, basically? Maybe we just want a list of our Git history, all the Git commits that we've ever made. What command do we use in Git? Yeah, git log. One line is also nice. Dash dash one line gives us a very one line commit readability at a time, basically. I'm going to add 2 new Git tools to your tool belt. On your own, it's always good to try to add 1 or 2 of these per mod. If you want to see the previous changes from your last commit, you do git log -p, and it'll show you what changes were made from the previous commit. You see here, we added the puts heyo classy class to the heyo file. And then somebody asked, what if you wanted to like go like backwards in time, whoa, to a previous Git commit? Well, if you wanted to go back to 1 commit, so if you do git log, and we want to go back to before we even had this commit, we would do git reset --hard. Well, if there's only 1 commit, will it work? No. Okay. We have to make 1 more commit, sorry. So let's make another commit real quick. That makes sense because there's only 1 thing there. Okay. So let's make another commit. We're going to check the status of that by doing git status. We use git add and the file name. We are going to do git status again, just make sure it's in the staging area, which it is. And then we do git commit. We'll call it checks on classes sanity. Cool. And so we've added that commit. We can see it by doing git log. Now I have 2 commits, but let's say we didn't want this commit for some reason, we don't like it. We can do, and we want to go back to this commit and make that like our head, basically. We do git reset --hard. What? Oh, sorry. What we need to do is, sorry, if we want to go back in history, we do git log --one line. And what we need to do is grab the commit SHA. What's a commit SHA? Here are the first 7 like alphanumeric things for the git SHA. And if we wanted to go back to that, we would just paste in the commit SHA there. And then it would go back in history to this commit and make it the new head, basically. As you can see, when you look at the git log, we're back on our initial commit as the only commit in git history. Not sure why git reset --hard didn't work, but what you do is you git log 1 line, find the commit SHA here, which are these things on the left. If you want to go like back in time, you would put in the commit SHA there. Lee, I think you had a question.
Yeah, so when you do that, it doesn't erase the other commit. It just lets you go back in history, correct?
And actually, that commit is now like quote unquote removed. In Git, there's always a way to get that commit back somehow. I won't show you how to do that here, but
Okay.
definitely paste that in the thread in the backend code up channel, which I'll start, and then I can show you how to do that basically.
Great.
But you
Thank
do definitely need to be careful and make sure this is the thing you want to do. But somebody asked, hey, how do I go back in time? That is how you do it basically. All right. I'm gonna put people into breakout groups, put them into pairs. And what I want you to do is in this lesson here, which I'm putting in your Zoom chat, it's SHA Shaw, Joey, that's what it's called. I want everyone to practice in pairs, one person sharing their screen. I want you to go through the practice until you get to branching, basically. And so what that'll involve is creating a local Git repository, creating a remote GitHub repository, and then linking those together. Basically, we are setting up this for not only this lesson, but the next lesson as well on how we'd use GitHub for collaboration. But everyone go ahead and do that practice up until the spot that says branching. If you need help, use the raise hand feature, please. All right, I'm going to create those rooms now. Let me make sure Megan is not in the room. All right, with a thumbs up, does everyone know what we're doing in the reactions part of Zoom? See a thumbs up if you know what we're doing. Cool. All right, I'm gonna open all the rooms now.
Good job.
Yeah, would it be on it? Welcome back, everyone. I'm just kidding. All right, when you type in the word git branch, you can see which branch you're currently on, which is main. Okay, so the purpose of branches is we do not want to be working on the main branch. Now, why is this? Well, if we're thinking of Git and GitHub together as a collaborative tool, the main branch is where all the main code lives, right? It's all the code that exists to build our application. So we don't want to change the main branch directly. Normally, when we build features, what's a feature? You can think of feature as like a new thing for your project that you need. Normally, when we build new features, we also want to do it on a branch, not on main. So how do we create a new branch? We do git checkout b -b flag and the name of the branch we want. What do we name our branch? The thing we're working on. Let's say it is solving BST, which stands for binary search tree. Don't know why I use that example. Solving BST problem. Or let's say we were like creating a login screen. Let's do that. Login feature. And then you can see it says switch to a new branch called login feature. We type git branch again to make sure we're on the right branch. Okay, so we're building a login feature. Let's say we want it, so we use git checkout. Let's say we want to go back to the main branch for some reason. We do git checkout and the name of the branch. So now we're back on main. Okay, let's go back to our login feature branch. I don't know why autocomplete's not working. Okay. We do git branch again, just make sure I'm the login feature branch. And let's go ahead and build our feature out. We're gonna create a login file. Let's open it in Atom. Don't know why it's not the first thing that appears. There we go. Really complicated. Do you want to log in? Yes, no. Okay. We'll do git status to see the status of that. We'll go ahead and add that here. Oops, I did something that I told you not to do. I used git add dot. please use the name of the file. Get status to see the status. Okay, we are gonna do commit, create login feature, create login screen. Cool. So we've done that, and now what we're going to want is someone on our project to review our code and what's known as a pull request. How do we do that? Well, we can do git. I always do this because I forget the command. I just do git push. So currently we're on the feature branch login feature. I always do git push, and then it tells me the login feature has no upstream branch. What's an upstream branch mean? It means there is no branch called login feature on GitHub, right? Or remote repository. And then so I just literally copy and paste this command every time. Git push -- shut -- upstream origin, which is from our computer, login feature. What that does is it creates a branch login feature on GitHub. It pushes it to our remote repository. Then what will happen is it creates something that's known as a pull request. What's a pull request? Like I mentioned, it's a way for someone on your team to review the code and make sure it looks good before merging that into the main branch. There's two ways to open a pull request. One, as you see in GitHub, you can see that this pull request can be opened. So you can either click on this, or what I like to do is, you can see here, create a pull request for a login feature by GitHub by visiting this page. I just hold command and click on this link, which will automatically open that for us. And then you can open what's known as a pull request. We'll talk a little bit more about how pull requests work and what their function is in the Git for pairs lesson. But normally you would just say what you did in the feature. Then you would click on create pull request, which you're familiar with doing somewhat when you fork projects or ICs. Cool, so now that pull request is created. So normally everyone is working on a team, right? And someone needs to review this pull request. Well, how do you add different members on your team? You're gonna go to your project, click on settings here. Click on settings, and then you click on manage access. Oops, I need to type in my GitHub password. It's password 123 for anyone that was wondering. And then you can invite collaborators to your project. So Megan, what's your GitHub handle?
It is M.E. McMahon, I'm pretty sure. There I am.
Cool. So now I'm going to add Megan to my repository as a collaborator, which will allow her to have full access to the code. Now on her end, she'll get an email that says, do you want to be a collaborator to this project? And then eventually she'll go ahead and hit accept. And then she can do stuff like review my pull request. Here's a pull request. And what I would do is maybe add her. Be like, hey, Megan, can you please review my pull requests? And she'll also get a notification. And then she can go ahead and make any comments on the code. We'll show you more of that in the Git for pairs lesson. Cool. So that's a little setup of how we might use GitHub as a collaborative tool on code. Like I said, we'll dig more into that in Git for pairs. We showed you how branching works. Are there any questions on branches, branching, and what a pull request is? Alexander, go ahead.
What's the difference between a fork and a branch? Like would you prefer one over the other?
A fork is when you take someone else's pre-existing GitHub repository and create an exact copy of that, but is for your own use only, right? And so like it's a fork in the road, right? Their project goes this way, your project goes this way, and then so you're going in different places. What a branch is, it's kind of a similar concept, but it's like you're working on your project, right? Here's the main branch. And then so what you're doing is literally like creating a branch off of that. And then once your branch is ready, like it's gone through code review, someone's like looked at the pull request, it'll get merged back into main basically.
So
We'll see
it
that.
allows you to merge it back in, and a fork doesn't allow you to merge it.
That's correct. A fork does not, because it's two separate projects, right? A branch is just like a tree branch, as you imagine, that exists in a tree. It's like still part of the one tree, right?
Okay.
We'll dig more into how collaboration works in Git for pairs and why branches are important. But sorry, Zania, I always say your name wrong. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna learn it. How do you say it?
Xenia.
Xenia.
So I guess the question I have is, what if I started working on the project and I push all my changes to main, and then later on I created more branches like login, like a about section. I don't know if I'm like talking about it in the context of website. Can I like rename my initial changes from main to a subsidiary branch?
So Sanya, what I'm gonna say is from here on out, on every single project you work on, you're not gonna have to worry about that, right?
Okay.
You, as a group, will never make changes to main directly. You're always gonna create, or even in your future solo projects, you're always gonna create branches, open a pull request, and then merge that in.
Okay.
On any project from here on out, not including War and Peace, feel free to work on main if you want to. You'll be creating branches, creating pull requests, and merging those in.
Got
The
it.
reason we have you do that is because that's the way you're going to do it at your job and the rest of your development career. Someone needs to look over your code first before it can go into the main branch, basically.
Got it. Thanks.
Cool. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. During the practice when we did the Git practice, my partner and I each did it, and during the final push, I tried Git push by itself, and it gave me a fatal. And I tried Git push origin main, even though I was on the master branch, and it gave me an error. And then it worked correctly when I did Git push origin master. But then he tried it Git push with just Git push, and it worked without an error message when he did the same thing. So and then it worked for him also when he did Git push origin main, even though he's probably on the master branch. So I was wondering what was going on between our two setups.
All right, this is what I'm gonna assume based off your question. Your partner is probably the one that originally set up the Git repository and linked it to GitHub, and that, no? All right, post that in Slack, the thread. I'll create a thread. It's probably a little bit too terse and difficult to answer
Okay.
over Zoom chat because I don't know exactly what happened, but I'll create a thread now and you can post it there and I'll try to help you with that. Other questions on Git branches specifically? And how to push that to GitHub? Okay. I was about to say Emma for some reason. Megan.